Hey everyone, today we're diving into the massive changes coming to Vietnam's VAT system in 2025. And trust me, this is going to impact pretty much every business out there. So let's get right into what you need to know.
So let's just start with the most important question on the table, aimed right at every business owner and manager watching this. Is your business actually ready for what's coming? Because these aren't just little tweaks. We're talking about fundamental shifts that will change your pricing, your cash flow, and your entire compliance strategy. So, to make sense of all this, here's our game plan. We'll start with the big picture, the why. Then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of the new tax rates. After that, we'll look at a huge win for small and medium businesses, cover the new rules for e-commerce, and wrap it all up with a practical action plan you can start using today. Okay, so first things first. Why the huge overhaul? Why now? Well, this isn't just about changing numbers for the sake of it. It's a really strategic reform with some very specific goals in mind. The engine behind all of this is brand new legislation, and the government's goals are pretty clear. They want to fix some long-standing problems, make getting tax refunds less of a nightmare, give businesses some real support as the economy gets back on its feet, and, importantly, get a much better handle on the booming world of e-commerce. Now, let's do a super quick refresh just to make sure we're all on the same page here. VAT is an indirect tax, right? The simple formula you gotta remember is this. The tax you actually pay is your output VAT, that's the tax you collect from your customers, minus your input VAT, which is the tax you already paid on all your business purchases. All right, now for the part I know you've all been waiting for, the new tax rates. These are the numbers that are going to directly hit your costs and your cash flow. So just as a baseline, remember, Vietnam has this three-tier system. You've got 0% for exports, 5% for essential goods, and then that standard 10% rate that applies to, well, most everything else. And it's that standard rate where the real action is happening. And here it is. This is the big one. The standard 10% VAT rate is getting a temporary haircut, down to 8%. This is a huge move by the government, and it's all about giving the economy a shot in the arm, spurring demand, and giving businesses like yours a bit of breathing room. Now, the timing here is absolutely critical, so mark your calendars. This 2% reduction officially kicks in on July 1st, 2025. And right now, it's slated to run for about a year and a half, ending on December 31st, 2026. But, and this is a really big but, it's not for everybody. The law is very specific about who gets left out. So if your business is in finance, banking, insurance, real estate, securities, or telecommunications, sorry, you're sticking with the standard 10% rate. No cut for you. Okay, this is where it gets really interesting because two key industries are getting a major shakeup. First, agriculture. Things like fertilizers and machinery are actually moving from being non-taxable to a 5% rate. Now, that sounds like a new tax, right? But it's actually fantastic news because it means these businesses can finally deduct their input VAT, which should lower their overall costs. Then you have software, where the rules are getting tighter. The tax exemption is being narrowed down to basically just digital content creation. All the other stuff, like system maintenance and operations, that's now going to be taxed at 10%. So you can see what this 2% cut actually looks like in the real world. Let's just run a quick example. Say your business has about 50 billion VND in revenue. At the old 10% rate, you'd pay 5 billion in VAT. But at the new 8% rate, that drops to 4 billion. That is a 1 billion VND saving in a single year. That's a serious boost to your company's cash. Now, let's zoom in on small and medium-sized businesses, because if you're running one, you're going to want to pay close attention. This overhaul has some major changes designed specifically to help you out. Okay, this is a total game changer. The revenue level for even having to deal with VAT is being more than doubled. It's jumping from 200 million VND a year all the way up to 500 million. Think about what that means. Thousands of small businesses and family-run operations will just not have to deal with VAT anymore, period. And the good news doesn't stop there. The list of things that are considered non-taxable is also getting longer. This now covers goods from those small business households we just talked about, personal stuff that individuals sell when it's not their main business, and goods that are part of the National Reserve. It's all about making things simpler and cutting the tax burden. Okay, let's shift gears now to some of the more structural changes. The new law is really focused on modernizing the whole VAT system so it can actually handle today's economy. E-commerce, global trade, and that whole tricky process of getting tax refunds. For anyone out there who has ever had to deal with a VAT refund and you know the pain, this is incredible news. A huge roadblock is being completely removed. Before, you had to somehow prove that your supplier had actually paid their tax before you could get your refund. It was a nightmare. That condition is gone. This lowers your risk as the buyer in a massive way. So while the refund process is getting easier, you still gotta have your ducks in a row. The core rules for deducting your input VAT are still crystal clear. You need 3 things. It's that simple. 1, legal invoices. 2, proof that you bought it for your business. And 3, valid payment documents. And remember, any bill over 5 million BND needs a non-cash payment trail. The new rules also zero in on 2 critical areas of the modern economy. For e-commerce, tax authorities are stepping up their game, and platforms are now going to be required to share their data. For exporters, that amazing 0% VAT rate is expanding. It'll now cover more activities, like export on the spot, which is a huge deal for streamlining these supply chains.
Okay, we've covered the what and the why. Now let's get practical. Let's talk about what you actually need to do. This last section is your action plan, what to look out for and what you need to get under control, like yesterday. You have to understand, with all this e-invoicing data flowing directly to the tax authorities, they can see everything. And here are the red flags they're actively hunting for. Huge VAT refund requests that look fishy, invoices from suppliers they've already flagged as risky, a business declaring turnover that just seems way too low, major differences between your declared revenue and your actual cash flow, and of course, any signs of fake invoice trading. The only way to handle this is to be proactive. So here's a simple 4-point checklist for every CEO. Number 1, revenue. Are you absolutely sure every single sale is invoiced and reported correctly? 2, input invoices. Are you vetting your suppliers? Are they real? Are their invoices legit? 3, VAT rates. Is your team applying the right rate, 5, 8, or 10%, to every single transaction? And 4, tax refund records. Is your paperwork perfect? Are all your contracts and payment documents in order?
So when you look ahead, the direction of travel is unmistakable. Everything is moving towards comprehensive end-to-end digital management. We're talking deeper e-invoice integration, we're talking advanced data analysis by the tax office, and even tighter controls on e-commerce. The old days of paper-based guesswork are officially over.
And that brings us to our final and maybe most critical question for you. This entire new system is built on one thing: data. So as tax management becomes completely digital and data-driven, the real question isn't just about the law. It's about whether your business's data is clean, accurate, and ready for that level of scrutiny. That's something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.